I have in my hand a wall-mounted TV bracket. Now the range stated on this is 26 inches all the way up to 55 inches. Although based on the VESA standard, I could actually do maybe slightly larger TVs. The maximum weight that it'll support is 45 kgs, and it effectively comes fully pre-assembled. It's extremely easy to do this. So I'm going to give an overview of exactly what I expect to find in the box when we buy this, and a basic overview of how we'll go and do the assembly. So the first thing here is it's a swivel and tilt. It's available, by the way, with free delivery. So it's a swivel and tilt. So what we're going to do here is we're just going to open this up, and we'll extend it out here again. So I'll just turn this unit over. So we can see here, this is the bracket we'd mount on the wall. I would actually use this spirit level here, come along, and we can just mount it directly on, and we can use this to make sure we're getting it fully square on the wall. Okay. So we just use the 4 plugs and 4 bolts here to mount it onto the wall, and then we can depress this back like it was originally and have it flat to the wall, or we can extend it out, and then we have a rotation angle here, another one here, and then finally we have more rotation at this point as well. So it's given full flexibility over 3 planes there. So this is this in one extent can be counted as just mounting directly onto the wall and separate from what comes next, which is these brackets here, which will mount directly onto the TV. So it says in terms of what it'll support, it'll go from VESA standard 75 by 75 all the way up to 400 by 400. So VESA is just a standard that's accepted within the TV industry, and it just says that there's a standardized hole spacing in terms of, if we look in the back of the TV, we will see that there'll be pre-threaded holes, and there'll be a set spacing apart. So on smaller TVs, it's normally, we'll say, 100 by 100, and on larger TVs, the hole spacing will be, we'll say, 400 by 200 or 400 by 400. So what we have here is we have the adjustability in terms of the distance these arms are going to be apart, which will give us our 400mm range left to right. And then in terms of from top to bottom here, we have our range here. So normally we'll say people will be using these with the larger TVs, simply because we've smaller TV brackets in the range that might suit smaller ones, unless people are trying to buy a bracket that's sort of future-proof for an upgrade maybe in the future. So what we have here is we have this pretty well effectively pre-assembled. The only thing I've done here is I came along and I took a bolt and this knob here, and what we can do is we come along, and what I'm going to do here now is just give a demonstration of this in action. And if we can imagine this on the left hand side, what we can do here is we can drop this bracket in here. So what we'll have done is we'll have used the bolts here originally to bolt this bracket here, both the right and left hand bracket, onto the back of the TV using the VESA holes I've outlined a few moments ago. And what we do at that point is we can drop it on to the bracket that's mounted onto the wall, and we'll use these locking nuts to screw in from underneath. And there's little stops here, so we just use a Phillips screwdriver to screw this up, and it'll mean that the weight of the TV will be pushing it down, and there's a stop to stop you pushing it off the end. And if there was some upward pressure on it, these locking nuts will actually catch the ridge behind and lock it into position, so it'll be secure in terms of the general mounting on it. In terms of the tilt angle on this, we can tilt this up to 15 degrees. So often we'll find a situation where a TV will be mounted in a location that's higher than where the people that are viewing it, and what people want to do is be able to tilt it down. So a 15-degree tilt is pretty well standard and the max that most people will need. So we'll just replicate this on the far side, and we'll just have the two of them mounted directly like this, and again we'll put in the locking mechanism on it. So you can see hopefully the general theory of it here. I'm going to put it down because it's actually heavy bracket after a little while holding with one hand. So in terms of what we're using for the mountings, we have 4 screws here with 4 plugs, and then we have a range of choices when it comes to actually the bolts on it. So we have the larger screws here, and then we have the smaller ones here as well. So it'll depend. The smaller TVs will normally have smaller threads, the larger TVs have the larger threads, and we have the washers to go with them as well. So this one here will say just sits extremely well in the full range of TV brackets we sell, simply because if you looked at the business model of most of the big electronic shops, they're effectively selling televisions for free. The 2 areas, in terms of there's no margin in it, the 2 areas where they make their money on customers is HDMI leads and TV brackets, and the markups there can be several %100. So what we've done here is we've come along with a great range of brackets, with a low markup on it, and we're giving free delivery on them as well. So a huge market in TV brackets. So that's it. So check out the full range, and it's all available on freetv.ie.